I am going to rejoin the American Civil Liberties Union, and I am about ready to tell you why. I will tell all. Um, it's been years since I've been involved with activism. I mean, nothing more than being an armchair activist. Getting online and arguing with people, what have you. That's my form of activism these days. I have actually been involved in demonstrations and actually done street work as far as that's concerned. Against the war, union solidarity work, anti-death penalty, various progressive causes, and I used to do that quite a bit. When I was growing up, I was dreaming of reliving the '60s. I'd be damned if I sure did relive the '60s for a while during the 1990s and early 2000s until say maybe about the time Obama got elected, and um, just like many of us on the left, thought there might have been some reason to kind of be complacent when became president. I mean, I didn't expect him to uh, totally turn America progressive overnight. But I thought maybe a few little things here and there, and I got lazy, like a lot of folks did, and a lot of folks are getting active again, and so am I. Um, well, and I just sort of been out of the loop. I remember there was a time I probably belonged to as many as 10 organizations at any given moment, and it kind of expensive and what have you. So um, about a little over a decade ago, I just kind of started taking it easy, and the only radical organization I was a member of was the United Food Commercial Workers. Not particularly radical, but some people think if you belong to a labor union in North Carolina, that's an act of radicalism. Anyhow, and anywho, I have been noticing a lot lately. Assaulting of police brutality running amok. I mean, I was just seeing it on TV and on the news and hearing about it, reading about it. It's so commonplace that we're almost immune to it. We're almost immune to police brutality, and that's not a good thing to be immune to. Um, well, and then you're starting to see a crackdown on dissenters. Um, Yeah, I mean, I don't believe in burning shit down. I'm pretty peaceful. I don't think there's a that violence is the answer. I never believed that violence was the answer unless it was directly in self-defense. But now we got a situation where the president's giving his blessing to go and shoot down protesters, and I got a problem with that. I got a problem with that. I mean, shit. Not I. As bad and as much as I despise George W. Bush, um, they lectured the left about protesting. How dare you protest? But there was not any real call or any call for physically cracking down on protesters. And there is now, and that's quite alarming. And so, in light of that, and in light of crackdowns on free speech, and it's done more by the right against the left and vice versa. Don't support it either way, cracking down on speech. But I just want to go and throw that caveat at each one of you. The whole idea of people's rights being repressed is giving me a cause to think about this, and I am thinking about rejoining the American Civil Liberties Union, and you should too. Why? Well, it's an organization that's been demonized. It's been demonized traditionally by the right. some on the left has demonized it too, but but it, all your freedoms in the modern age that we all take for granted has been there because the ACLU has been fighting for it. So and we are 100 years old. The ACLU turned 100 this past January, and I sleep better knowing that the ACLU is causing a lot of havoc and upsetting the powers that be. And it makes no difference who sits in the White House at the moment. Makes no difference who's elected in power in the governors or state legislatures across the country, or the legislative branch, our federal government, or the judiciary. It makes no difference. The ACLU will call bullshit, and they will fight to protect everybody's freedom of speech. And yes, they protect people's religious freedoms too. That's another lie people make about the ACLU. Oh, ACLU trying to take uh, people's right to pray and practice their faith. No, they don't. The ACLU protects everybody's freedom of religion too. And the ACLU is there to protect the Bill of Rights, and it's a wonderful organization. And I am encouraging each one of you to consider joining the ACLU. Um, I remember when I first heard of the ACLU, just after I graduated high school, so 1988, and Governor Michael Dukakis of Massachusetts, who was running for president, who was the first candidate for president I ever voted for. Um, Basically was found out that he was a card carrying member of the ACLU, and Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush was criticizing him for this. And I did my research on what the hell is this ACLU group. And when I found out what the ACLU was, I was just like, well, gee, they sound pretty damn reasonable. So I ended up joining the ACLU as a result. Uh, and I encourage you to do the same. So I will have the link posted below, the information you need to get in contact with, and encourage each one of you to fight for liberty and fight for individual freedoms, fight for the First Amendment, fight for the right to privacy, um, fight for equality, gender equality, fight for equality for the LGBTQ community, fight for equality for all people, regardless. The ACLU will be there to protect everyone's rights. And as I said, I encourage each and every one of you to do the same. And ACLU comes close to home politically for me because as a democratic socialist, I see myself in the tradition of Eugene Debs, Norman Thomas. Not saying that I am as great as they were, but I'm in that ideological tradition. And ACLU was predominantly created by members of the Socialist Party of America. Well, it's not a socialist organization, but it was created as a as an organization to protect the civil liberties and constitutional rights of every American. And I am proud of that tradition. And it was all the sweeter knowing that the ACLU and the Socialist Party of America have a family connection of sorts. Norman Thomas, who was the Socialist Party candidate for president 1928 to 48, was also the executive director of the ACLU throughout the 1930s all the way through to the 1950s. So, you know, I feel proud being of that tradition. And in light of what looks like creeping fascism um, being pushed onto us by our government, maybe it's time to get proactive and engage and do it in a way by joining an organization that will in the courts defeat the forces of fascism. The American Civil Liberties Union. Join them today. I'm Bernie Broke. If you like what you heard, hit like, subscribe, tell everybody about this channel. Y'all take care.